What does it mean to be first? To invent an idea so powerful, it shapes the rest of human history. Beneath this sun-baked earth in the Jordan Valley lies not just a city, but the very blueprint of civilization itself. For millennia, its story was told through myth and scripture, the crumbling of great walls. But what if the truth, unearthed by archaeologists from the dust of ages, is even more remarkable? This is not just a story of conquest, but of creation. This is the story of the first city. This is the story of Jericho. Now, in the modern world, a city is an obvious idea. Concrete jungles of millions dominate our landscapes. But imagine a world without them. A world where humans existed alongside nature, traveling in small groups, stopping only when hunger demanded it. Life for these hunter-gatherers would have been one of constant motion. But long before the pyramids, before Stonehenge, before the written word, a group of hunter-gatherers from the Nachafian culture did something extraordinary. They stopped. Here, at a perpetual spring they called Ain Sultan, they found reason to stay. They were not yet farmers, but they built, not with mud brick but with stone, creating a permanent settlement that would echo through time. Imagine being part of this community. Your days are spent in gathering and hunting, but evenings are spent around a fire, talking not just of today's hunt, but of the future, of plans to make tomorrow better than today. In this place, bathed in the light of a perpetual spring, life began to change, and standing in the heart of this settlement is a reminder of that monumental shift, a structure so defiant, so enduring, it has become an enigma to archaeologists. This is the tell, the mound of debris that covers the original site, and here beneath the layers of history is where it all began. Here are the foundations of the earliest city, and there, rising above it all, is the tower, rising over 8 meters high, made of rough-hewn stones, painstakingly laid and bound with mud mortar. It had an internal staircase, a marvel of Neolithic engineering, 10,000 years old, and yet it feels alien. How do you build something so permanent? As a hunter-gatherer, why construct something that will outlast you? The answer may lie in the collective imagination, the power of shared dreams and aspirations. This tower speaks of a society complex enough to organize a colossal labor project, a society capable of planning, cooperation, and centralized authority. But there's a riddle wrapped in stone. Why was it built? Was it for defense, flood control, ritual? Its purpose remains one of archaeology's greatest enigmas. But standing here, surrounded by the whisper of ages, we can begin to understand the impact such a structure would have had on those early humans. Gazing up its sides, we can see how its shadow fell across the valley, casting a giant presence over the landscape. From afar, it was a beacon, marking this place as important, purposeful, defended. It was a statement. It said, "This is home." And surrounding the tower are the echoes of daily life. Workshops where tools were crafted, storage areas where food was kept. Then, further down the slope, evidence of domestic life, hearths where meals were cooked, animal bones scattered around, signs of a community taking shape. But life, even in Neolithic times, was never There are signs of conflict, too, arrowheads, evidence of violence. But amidst it all, amidst the toil and the struggle, the people of ancient Jericho left us more than structures. They left us their ancestors. Beneath their homes, they buried their dead, and in a practice that feels both ancient and intimately human, they preserved the skulls, sculpting their features in plaster and inlaying seashells for eyes. A mother cradling her child, perhaps a clan leader in ceremonial dress. These lifelike figures stare back, timeless, their gazes fixed on some distant horizon. What stories could they tell if they could speak? What hopes and dreams did they have? Were they proud of their city? Did they fear for its future? These questions linger like the desert wind, carrying tales from a time beyond our own. Perhaps they created these lifelike effigies to honor and remember, to ensure that those who had passed were not forgotten. After all, remembrance is a defining part of what makes us human. Imagine being part of this community. You tend your crops, care for your animals, trade with neighbors. Life is hard, but it's good. And when the sun sets, you gather around the flickering light of a fire, sharing stories, fears, and dreams. A child looks up at the towering structure, asking questions that echo through time. Why is it so tall? What's at the top? And as the adults talk, pointing out stars, weaving tales of gods and heroes, the city stands guard, a silent witness to the birth of civilization. But as the centuries rolled on, the story of Jericho took new chapters. The humble beginnings as a collection of tents gave way to a fortified Canaanite city-state, a hub of trade, a prize for empires, its strategic importance never fading. It became a prize coveted by kings and conquerors, a symbol of power and control over the fertile Jordan Valley. Through it all, the tower endured, bearing silent testimony to the rise and fall of kingdoms, the ebb and flow of civilizations. It was said to have been destroyed 7 times, each time rising again from the dust, a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who made it their home. But perhaps no moment was as pivotal as its appearance in Scripture, immortalizing its name in the human imagination forever. When Joshua led the Israelites into the Promised Land, Jericho was the first city to fall, its walls crumbling before the might of the divine, as described in the Old Testament. This tale cemented Jericho's place in religious narratives, making it synonymous with faith and divine intervention. Over the centuries, pilgrims flocked to the site, eager to walk in the footsteps of their ancestors, to see the place where faith triumphed over doubt. Walking among the ruins today, it's hard not to feel the weight of history. The countless stories etched in stone and whispered in the wind. Standing at the edge of the tell, looking out over the valley, it's easy to see why Jericho held such significance. Behind me is the ancient city, a place where the nomadic life gave way to community, to the very concept of a city. In front of me is the future, the Jordan Valley, a cradle of agriculture, the gateway to the Promised Land. For 10,000 years, people have called this place home. They farmed its soil, raised their families, built their lives, and at the heart of it all, the city, changing hands, adapting to new cultures, always enduring. So is it truly the oldest? The title is fiercely contested. Sites like Damascus and Byblos also boast ancient, continuous histories. But Jericho's claim is not merely about continuous habitation. It's about a foundational moment. It represents the radical transition from a nomadic life to a settled one, the very genesis of the urban world we live in today. Every city that followed from Rome to New York was a debt to this first, daring attempt to create a permanent home under the sun. So who were the people of Jericho? Where did they go? What happened to the city? Sadly, much of their story remains lost to time. Archaeology has given us glimpses into their material culture, the tools they used, the pottery they crafted, the very architecture of their city. But the intangible aspects of their culture, their language, their beliefs, their day-to-day lives, these remain shrouded in mystery. It's as if they left no records, no official documents, no archives behind. Yet we can piece together fragments of their world through the objects they left behind, the remnants of a culture that blossomed in the shadow of the tower. Fragments of pottery, each a silent storyteller, whispering tales of a bygone era. The residue of meals shared, of fires long extinguished, each shard a clue to unraveling their daily lives. Flint tools, their edges honed by generations of use, tell tales of hunters turned farmers, of a society evolving. Animal bones, carefully gnawed, reveal a diet shaped by the bounty of the land, of a people adapting to their environment. Each layer of the tell is a new discovery, a fresh chapter in the book of their lives. But what happened to them? Where did they go when the city fell, when the sands of time shifted? The answers lie buried beneath the earth, waiting to be unearthed. But the story of Jericho is not just about what we find, it's also about what we don't. It's about the silence between the artifacts, the blank spaces in their history. It's in these gaps that imagination fills in the picture. We create mental images of bustling markets, of families gathered around evening fires, of warriors preparing for battle. We envision the rituals they may have performed, the gods they may have worshipped, the myths they may have believed. And as we do this, we realize that the true story of Jericho is a tapestry, woven with threads of fact and fiction, of archaeology and imagination, of what we know and what we yearn to understand. Jericho's legacy, then, is not found in a single artifact or a crumbling wall. It is found in the idea it represents. It was the first experiment in community, in defense, in monument building, in honoring the dead. Every city that followed owes a debt to this first, daring attempt to create a permanent home under the sun. Thank you for joining us on this journey to the dawn of civilization. If you were fascinated by the story of Jericho, there are countless other lost cities and ancient wonders to discover. There's more to explore. Help us continue to unearth the stories of our past. Please like this video, Share your thoughts on the world's oldest city in the comments below, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next exploration into history. Until next time, keep exploring.